the one who loves the beloved and love itself. Amen. Most illustrations designed to start a sermon from the life of the preacher are experiences from some time ago that they've spent some time reflecting on and then are able to tell you what they've learned from it. I'm starting with something different tonight. I'm starting from an existing situation that I'm not sure I've learned enough about yet. I have a bad back. I have a sore lower back. I sometimes get it, and it was coming on in between the annual meeting and the vestry retreat. It was a really busy week. I was hunched over Zoom, and I was feeling, I guess, some pressure, and it was all going down there. And I was stuck in my head, because, there was plenty going on. It was a busy time, and I wasn't paying attention to what was going on in my body. So it got progressively worse. Until this week, I finally thought, I need to stop and look at this. Where is that YouTube with the lower back exercises that I sometimes do? Where's the ibuprofen? Where are the various things that I do to get better? I need to look at this. And when I started looking at it, doing stretches, using a standing desk, the pain starts to subside, and I start to feel better, though it's not completely gone yet. When you pay attention to things, they have the chance to heal. That Old Testament lesson is a doozy. It's fantastic. They've come out of Egypt, they were slaves, they are in the wilderness, and they're saying to Moses, we'd rather be back in slavery, there was better food. We had water, and we had a much better time of it. This freedom is not all it's cracked up to be. Why did you bring us out here in the first place? And God releases poisonous snakes into the camp. So I'm going to do a bit of what I think is called midrash on this, or an allegory. I'm not sure God put poisonous snakes into the camp. I think the poisonous snakes might be a manifestation of the poison in the hearts of the people as they were wrestling, complaining, being angry about their lot, wishing they were slaves again and not free. You see, that poison was getting inside them and hurting them. It was toxic. It was destroying their community and destroying themselves. God says to Moses, make a bronze poisonous snake. Make a representation of the very thing that is besetting them and put it in the middle of the camp on a pole and tell them to look at it and live. It's this really puzzling story. Look at the thing that's killing you. Look it square in the eye. Pay attention to it, and you'll recover. Just as Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be lifted up. Just as Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be lifted up. The writer of John's Gospel is doing some extraordinary poetry there, reaching back into the memory of Israel and pulling this story forward. He's foreshadowing the cross. At the beginning of John's Gospel, he's saying Jesus is going to be put on a pole like that serpent was put on a pole in the wilderness. And we're going to be asked to look at him so that we might live. What are we being asked to look at? If the bronze serpent in the wilderness was a manifestation of the things that were killing the people, then what we look at in the Christ crucified on the cross are all the things that are killing us. the injustice that exists in our culture, the violence we would like to inflict on each other, the anger in our hearts. We're invited to look at those things. Because if we don't look at them, they won't heal. If we don't look at them, they won't be transformed. We've just come through a year of the coronavirus, and we've just begun regathering. It's entirely possible that this last year might have gotten on top of you, weighed you down. I'm saying that and we're smiling, but we also know it's been a tragic year. People have lost their lives, and people have experienced depression, isolation, illness. And we are doing our best to come through, wearing masks, getting vaccines, carefully and gently regathering, trying to build community whilst remaining safe. But perhaps this last year is something that we should stare at intensely and ask, what is it in the last year of the coronavirus that we need to look at in order to be able to live? We might see, if we gaze intently at this last year, that my life is connected to yours in ways that I didn't realize. My decisions affect you. We don't just do things to keep ourselves safe. We do things to help each other be safe and whole. If we look intently at the coronavirus of the last year, we will discover that our healthcare system is woefully unequal. That many people get better care than others. And that, generally speaking, across our nation, that breaks down across racial lines. That brown and black people have worse health outcomes in relation to the coronavirus and in general because of systemic racism and because of their access to healthcare and because of the stress of just living in a racist environment. None of these are pleasant things. I think in the middle of Lent, though, and as we head towards Good Friday, and we contemplate looking at Christ on the cross, we are being invited to look intently at the darkness in our culture. Because if we don't look at it, there is no chance that it will heal. And we're not looking at it alone. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. He was not sent into the world to condemn the world. The world was already condemning itself. He came into the world to save it. His hand, crushed by the nails, reaches out to us and invites us to travel through Lent to Good Friday in beloved company. And I really believe that Jesus, as our companion, gives us the strength to look into the darkness so that we might transform it. I am so delighted to have joined you in the middle of the weirdest year imaginable and discover you to be a creative, hardworking, thoughtful, spiritual community that has developed practices that have allowed us to be resilient in this impossible year. I can't wait to see what happens next. With all of the things that we've learned and all of our ability to survive, what happens as we leave this period of COVID-19 and move into the year to come? I'm really excited to go on that journey with you. Amen.